Who was Philip in the Bible? Welcome to our deep dive into the character of Philip in the Bible. Philip is a figure who weaves in and out of the New Testament narrative, popping up at critical moments and then fading into the background. Yet his contributions are profound, underscoring key themes of evangelism, obedience, and the inclusive nature of Christ's message. But who was Philip in the Bible? Let's set off on our exploration. Who was Philip in the Bible? In the biblical account, two main figures bear the name Philip. The first is Philip the Apostle, one of the original 12 disciples of Jesus Christ. The second is Philip the Evangelist, a prominent figure in the book of Acts. Let's take a look at both individuals to fully appreciate the breadth of Philip's influence. The Bible, especially the New Testament, provides some facts about Philip the Apostle, while other aspects of his life are known from early Christian tradition. The following table summarizes key aspects of Philip's life according to both sources. Fact source description called by Jesus Bible, John 1:43. Philip was specifically called by Jesus to follow him. He immediately accepted this call, showcasing his faith and obedience. From Bethsaida Bible, John 1:44, like Andrew and Peter, Philip was from the town of Bethsaida in Galilee, indicating his possible ties with fishing or other common professions of the time. Introduced Nathanael to Jesus Bible, John 1:45-46, Philip brought Nathanael, also known as Bartholomew, to Jesus, displaying his commitment to sharing the good news about Jesus. Jesus tested Philip Bible, John 6:5-7. Before the miraculous feeding of the 5,000, Jesus tested Philip by asking him where they could buy bread to feed the crowd. This incident shows Philip's practical concern and reveals the limit of his understanding at that time. Asked Jesus to show them the Father Bible, John 14:8-9. During the Last Supper, Philip asked Jesus to show them the Father, leading to Jesus' teaching that anyone who has seen him has seen the Father. This shows Philip's desire for deeper understanding and his role in prompting significant teachings of Jesus. Preached the gospel in Asia Minor tradition after Jesus' ascension. Tradition states that Philip preached the gospel in Asia Minor, often associated with the city of Hierapolis in present-day Turkey. Martyrdom tradition. Early Christian tradition holds that Philip was martyred for his faith, often stated as being crucified upside down or stoned to death in Hierapolis. Remember that while the Bible provides certain details about Philip's life, much of what we know comes from early Christian tradition, which may vary and is not universally accepted. Unraveling the mystery. How many apostles did Jesus have? Jesus, disciples, Christ. Philip the Apostle, an original disciple joining the fold. Philip the Apostle was from Bethsaida in Galilee, just like Andrew and Peter. The Bible tells us he was one of the first disciples Jesus called. How did Philip respond? He wasted no time and immediately followed Jesus, illustrating early on his obedience and faith. Witness to miracles. Philip was present for many of Jesus' miracles, including the feeding of the 5,000. His pragmatic approach is evident when he points out the logistical issues of feeding such a crowd, demonstrating his practical mindset. Philip the Evangelist, a voice in the wilderness called to serve. Philip the Evangelist, also known as Philip the Deacon, is introduced in Acts. He was one of the 7 men chosen to assist the apostles in their ministry. His responsibilities primarily centered on taking care of the poor and serving tables, essential work in the early church. The Samaria and Ethiopian eunuch encounters. Philip the Evangelist later journeyed to Samaria, where he preached the gospel. Here, he performs miracles, showing his spiritual authority. His encounter with the Ethiopian eunuch is an especially touching example of his dedication to spreading the message of Jesus. Significance of Philip in the Bible. Philip the Apostle's contribution. Philip's role in the New Testament shouldn't be underestimated. He symbolizes faith, obedience, and a practical approach to discipleship. Is there something we can learn from him? Philip the Evangelist's impact. Philip the Evangelist is an example of how we should embrace our roles, whether they are considered high or low in the eyes of society. His devotion to service and evangelism, particularly among non-Jews, highlights the inclusive nature of the gospel. Lessons from Philip in the Bible. The faith of Philip the Apostle. Philip the Apostle teaches us the importance of immediate obedience when Jesus calls us. How can we apply this lesson in our lives? The service of Philip the Evangelist. Philip the Evangelist serves as a reminder that every role in the kingdom of God is significant. His example challenges us to serve with dedication and humility, just as he did. The life of Philip the Apostle, as recorded in the New Testament and early Christian tradition, offers a number of spiritual lessons applicable for believers today. Here is a table illustrating some of these lessons. Lesson description: obedience to Christ's call. Philip's immediate response to Jesus' call to follow him teaches the value of obedience and willingness to leave everything behind for the sake of Christ. Evangelism: Philip introduced Nathanael to Jesus, demonstrating the importance of sharing the good news about Jesus with others, regardless of their initial skepticism or doubts. Trust in Jesus' providence. When Jesus tested Philip about how to feed the 5,000, it underscored the lesson of trusting in Jesus' providence, even when human reasoning can't see a way forward. Desire for spiritual understanding. Philip's request to Jesus to show them the Father indicates a deep desire for spiritual understanding, a trait every believer should cultivate. Humility and persistence in faith. Even though Philip, like the other disciples, didn't always fully understand Jesus' teachings, he remained dedicated and humble, teaching us to be persistent in our faith journey, even when we don't have all the answers. Courage in the face of persecution. Tradition holds that Philip preached the gospel in the face of opposition and was eventually martyred. His courage and commitment to spreading the gospel, even in the face of death, serves as a powerful lesson for all believers. Philip in modern-day interpretation. How churches today see Philip. Different Christian denominations regard Philip in varying ways. Some celebrate him as a saint, while others focus more on his contributions to the church. What does your church say about Philip? Influence on Christian art and literature. Philip's impact stretches beyond biblical texts. You'll find his influence in Christian art, literature, and other forms of expression. How does our culture reflect his influence today? The Bible is filled with stories of men and women of faith who have shaped our understanding of God and the world. One of the most important figures in the Bible is the Apostle Philip. His story is filled with examples of faith, courage, and love. Father, grandfather, minister, missionary, deacon, elder, author. Welcome to our family. View all posts.